Traditional HR technology has been able to meet the needs of public sector agencies. Many organizations use multiple HCM systems, which can lead to complicated and complex HR functions. And in addition, inaccurate and inconsistent data can cause problems with payroll and benefits reporting and other processes like workforce planning as well as career development. Well, unlike other HR solutions that require customized integration, Oracle HR provides a single person record which allows you to accurately track all of the information on employees, as well as effectively manage simple and complex work relationships, such as employees that report to multiple legal entities, have multiple assignments or multiple jobs, and even additional complexities such as matrix management or employee contract agreements. So what we're going to do is we're going to go in and talk about two different aspects of Oracle HR. Workforce structures, those things that set up your agency within the system, and then we're going to talk a bit about employee records. So first, we're going to go in and talk about workforce structures, and one of the notions about HCM Cloud is that you have the ability to date effective change any of your information so you don't lose your history. If something has been around for 3 years and then you make an update, you can update it as of that date and continue forward, and you maintain your history. So you can track all of your information in one area. So let's talk a little bit about Oracle workforce structures. So we have some various different areas in your agency, such as work locations or organization departments, pay plans, and other types of things, jobs. All of those are defined workforce structures within the system that feed over into a defined position if you use position management and position control. Now on the other side, from the employee perspective, you have compensation structures, things such as earnings or deductions, benefits, leave, all of those different components that make up, from a structure standpoint, for compensation for workers, and those two tie together. So we'll talk a little bit about that. Then we're going to go in and look at employee record management, which again, you're able to maintain complete employee history. You have one single view of employee information in one spot. You're able to track former employees, retirees, individuals that have left the agency, and you also even have the ability to have data validation on things such as Social Security number. Now we're going to go into the demonstration. Now we're going to go into the application and look at some of our workforce structures first, and then go in and look at employee records. So I am in the system as an HR administrator. I'm going to go into the workforce structure section, and you can see right here, you have the ability to, within your workforce structures, to be able to enter in a number of different criteria for your agency, such as locations, departments, grades, and jobs. This is where you add that information that is about your agency. Now, all of these different components will feed together, as you saw on the slide previously, into the building of a position. So we're going to go in and actually look at some of our positions here. Just some of the sample positions we have. And we have a number of them that have either single incumbent, one person for one position, or we have multiple people in the same position. We're going to look at an example of that multiple incumbent position. So right here we have an accounting clerk with a specific position number. And right here at the top, we can see information about our FTE. Total of 5 for this position. We have 2 individuals that are actually assigned to it, which means we have 3. So you have reporting right there for you and information that is important when looking at your positions. Now you can see as I scroll down here, those different workforce components, department, job, location, all of these things are added to the position, and this information defaults into an employee record when an employee is assigned to a position. Now you can overwrite these individual information in an employee record if you need to, but just so you know, it really improves data accuracy when you're able to default a lot of these different individual components. It takes the decision making away when you're building records. And you can see down here, for example, we have our valid grade structure for this specific position. So you really have the flexibility to create it as you want to. Now let's look a little bit more about this position. You can designate this as full-time or a part-time. Is it a regular position or is it a temporary position? You can even add attachments to this position if you want to add additional information accessible by HR administrators, etc. I'm going to put this into correct mode so we can actually show some of the fields if we were going to be updating this position. Let's look at the hiring status. You can have an approved status, so this has been budgeted and it's approved and it can be used and filled. This could be a proposed position where it's gone through the approval workflow but not quite ready for use, and you can actually label positions as frozen as well. So if you have a position that you have used but for different reasons you need to freeze this position and use it at a later time, you can designate it as such so you don't lose all your setup. Now, what type of position is this? Is it a shared position, or is it a pooled position, or is it a single incumbent position? So you have that flexibility to do what you need for your agency. You designate your FTE, you designate your headcount. You can also designate bargaining units, union, collective agreements, any of those items as well as probationary period. You can designate for a position specifically. This is one useful feature as well, is if you have training situations where you need to overlap positions, you can designate this position to actually be an overlap position where you can assign someone above the FTE for a temporary period of time to be able to perform training for some individual, and then you make the change later on. You also have the ability to assign grade ladders. If grade ladders are something for your agency, or you have grade step progression, you can assign grade ladders that default to specific positions. You also have the ability with positions to designate a position hierarchy. So you can put in a complete structure of parental position structure where you designate positions reporting to other positions if you choose to manage your positions in that fashion. Now that we've covered some of the workforce structures that are available to you in HCM Cloud, we're going to go in and talk about employee records. So I'm going to bring up an example of an employee record and show you some of the aspects about that. I'm going to bring up an employee here, and it defaults to the view of Kathy here. We're in her record. It defaults to the view of the assignment. So you can see all of the information based on this person's assignment. So you have assignment number, person type, are they payroll eligible, is it their primary assignment? Because if they have more than one assignment for themselves, one has to be primary, others are secondary assignments. You also have job, grade, department, location, all of these things from a position management perspective can default into the assignment record. Now, from a benefits perspective, Affordable Care Act is a large task to manage within public sector agencies. From an employee records perspective, you have the ability to track employee-based information to help you manage your Affordable Care Act reporting. So you can see right here, you have all of the infrastructure ready to go for you to track your look-back periods and your enrollment information, along with, on the HR benefits side, tracking plans and programs that are ACA eligible. Now, continuing down with the assignment information, I can see her manager information. What type of manager? Line manager. You can also have matrix manager, functional report. You have a number of different areas or different hierarchies that you can define for your folks. If Kathy had direct reports would appear right here as well. So you could see the individual names and records there. And you can also specify things such as collective agreement and other legislative information for employee records as well. Now, I can also go in and see quickly the employee history on an employee record. So when I click the history button, I can go in and see the entire change history of this person's record and just quickly be able to glance to see what has changed and when. And also, if I wanted to, I could export this to Excel to get a quick report on this specific information so I can analyze this in greater detail if I'd like. So this is the assignment portion of an employee record. Let me show you some of the other functions. As an HR administrator, I have lots of access to go into many different functions here. Let's first choose going into information based on Kathy as a person. So I'm going to go in and look at her personal information. Now, a lot of this information can be managed by Kathy herself through employee self-service. But as an administrator, I also have the ability to go in and manage this information. So you can see I have names and addresses, biographical information, so multiple addresses here, phones, email, number of different areas where I can maintain information. And of course, as an HR administrator, I have access to a bit more than what Kathy would in employee self-service. I also have the ability to manage extra information. You can manage various different areas, such as assigned property, such as computers or mobile phones, what have you, and other bits of information. So you can have the ability to configure these additional areas to track what you need for your agency. Also have the ability to manage contacts for your employees, all in one spot. Let's go and take a look at some other things. Manage salary. I have the ability to go in and look at, review, and take action on Kathy's salary. So right here, I can go in and see the historical actions on her salary. And if I wanted to, I can even go through the workflow process of proposing a new salary for her as well. One of the other useful features with employee records and maintaining record history in HCM Cloud is management of document records. This is basically a section where if you have external documents that need to be attached to the employee record, you can certainly do so and attach them. For example, W-2s, always a popular one. Payslips can be in here as well, and any other documents, such as certification documents for benefits. Or, going back to Affordable Care Act information, here's where this 1095 is available for Kathy to view. And I have an example of one of our 1095s that's processed. This was pulled out of her record. And you can see, so Kathy would have access to this. If you choose to have your employees have access to their document records, they can access this information straight away. So they help themselves with information. So as you can see, Oracle HR is a single solution to manage all of your employee data. Records for your employees, contingent workers, retirees, or other individuals you need to track within the system, simply and easily.